All right, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. 2 more days until the big fight. All right. I did a breakdown, a full 30-minute breakdown of this fight. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you look that up. Check that out. Okay. Also, this card is a pretty solid card. It's actually pretty stacked for a pay-per-view. It's not a bad undercard. I'm cool with this undercard. Okay, you got, I don't know how many of the fights they're gonna actually televise, but a lot of those undercard fights are pretty good. You got Caleb Plant against Mike Lee, is which I did a video on as well. So you want to check that out, look that up. I didn't do a full breakdown of it, but I did talk about the fight some. Also, you got Omar Figueroa against Yorhanis Ugas. That's also a good fight. That's a good fight. That's going to be on the undercard as well. Okay, you got Sergey Limpinets, okay, against John Molina Jr., which is another good fight. All right, so check that out. I didn't do a video on that one, but I'm going to do a video talking about all of the undercards in one prediction video. All right, and you also got Neri against Payano, which is also a good fight. So you got FA Ajagba fighting on the undercard as well. So you got a good undercard on there. Some good names on there. All right, so it's not a bad pay-per-view, And then the main event is a great fight. So listen, Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao. What does a win or a loss mean to both? Let's start over with Manny Pacquiao. It's simple. Manny Pacquiao's career is already solidified. Okay, he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's already an all-time great. He's broken records. He's an 8 division world champion. Manny Pacquiao has nothing else to really prove. Okay, I mean, even at welterweight alone, even with the losses, as a welterweight alone, not even talking about Morales and Eric Morales and who else he's fought in his Marquez and all the other people he's fought in his earlier in his career. As a welterweight alone, he's already an all-time great. Okay, so what does it mean, this win? I mean, you could make the argument that as good as Keith Thurman is, he's an elite welterweight today. This might still not even be a top 10 win for Manny Pacquiao. He's beaten that many people. He has that many names under his resume, you know? And we're not even counting the losses. I mean, he's been in there with a lot of great fighters. So, I mean, a win or a lose. I mean, if he is to beat Keith Thurman, I think it's a great win because you beating one of the elite current welterweight fighters. He beat Broner recently. He beat Matisse recently. He beat Tim Bradley all 3 times. Most people think Pacquiao won all 3 of those fights. Let's just say he won all 3 of those fights. I don't think Keith Thurman has a better resume than Tim Bradley. Maybe by the end of his career he might, but right now, currently, no, I wouldn't say that because Tim Bradley did his thing at welterweight, and he also did his thing leading up to welterweight at 140. I mean, he was the best at 140 before he moved up to 147. Okay, so I think career-wise, overall, I think Bradley did the most. All right, but Keith Thurman is one of the elite today. I think out of the current fighters at welterweight, as a welterweight, I think he has a better resume than Spence. I think he has a better resume than Terrence Crawford. Okay, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. I think he's done more. He's fought Sean Porter, beat him. He beat Danny Garcia. So I rate Keith Thurman over those two. Okay, so as a welterweight, I think he currently has the best resume. So for Pacquiao to beat him, it's just another great win under the books. If you ever gonna compare, Manny Pacquiao is an all-time great. So at this point, when you are bringing him up, you are comparing him to other greats from other eras. As that's it. The only other person in this era of boxing that you can compare him to is a Floyd Mayweather. Pretty much that's it. You know, he's now in the league of the all-time greats. There's a lot of great fighters. There's a lot of fighters that are the best in their era. Like Andre Ward is one of the best of his era. But when it comes to all-time greatness, where RJ Ward could be compared to other eras, fantasy matchups and stuff like that. But Manny Pacquiao is arguably an all-time great, where you can argue if he's one of the best ever. You can make the argument that he should be in the conversation. Okay, not saying he is, but he should be in a conversation. That's another level. That's the highest level. So beating Keith Thurman is just another great win for him. Okay, I think Pacquiao at this point, if he wants to really make another accomplishment, it would just have to be undisputed. You know, if he were to become undisputed, I mean, how many lineal champions has he had? How many different divisions has he had? He has a lot, and all those kind of accolades. He's just never been undisputed. So I think that's the only thing if he wants to really do that. I don't think he's going for that this late in his career. I think he just wants big paydays. Want to make his last bit of money before he goes. So a win, this means, I think, if he is to win, whether it's by knockout, whether it's by decision, if he is to win, just move forward, keep fighting. You're 40 years old, but you can just keep going. That's all it means. Great win, and he continues to just beat whoever he wants to beat. If you it's like hitting a lotto if you fight Manny Pacquiao. So I don't know who would be next. I don't know who he would fight down the line, but I'm assuming that if he is to beat Keith Thurman, it'd be a great way to retire and finish having a great, amazing career. He can retire right after this. I know he still wants to fight Floyd. I know Amir Khan said that they're in contract of fighting, and then Pacquiao shut that down by saying that he's in no contract to fight Amir Khan. But I wouldn't be surprised if he fought Amir Khan, because Amir Khan does have a name, even though he's not as valuable as he once was. He's been taking losses. He hasn't looked so good in recent years. I wouldn't even be surprised if Manny Pacquiao fought Amir Khan, only because that is a name that's always been around. Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao has always been attached to each other some kind of way. All right, that was a fantasy matchup at one point. All right, so it really doesn't really mean anything. Now, if Pacquiao loses, if he is to get knocked out, I think he may consider retirement, only because at this age, you went and fought an elite heavy welterweight, and you got knocked out by him. It just wouldn't be a good look to continue. He would lose some stock. People would still want to fight him because he has a name, but he would definitely lose a lot of stock if he was to get knocked out. And I don't think Pacquiao, yes, he could go and fight again and beat up another guy like a Broner or a Matisse level type of fighter, and it'll be a good win, a solid win, yes. But he would lose a lot of stock by losing to an elite. If he were to lose to an elite welterweight right now, like a Porter or a Spence or a Crawford or a Garcia, if he is to get knocked out by Keith Thurman right now, he would lose a little bit of stock. Okay? Not saying that he would have to retire, but if you go up and fight somebody on this level and get knocked out by him, that means, okay, maybe as great as he's always been, maybe it's time to hang it up. Okay? If you lose by decision, that's a different thing, because if it's one of those decisions where he got clearly outpointed and Keith Thurman clearly won, then he may consider retirement still, But if it's one of those controversial decisions where the majority feel that Pacquiao won the fight, but they gave it to Keith, like the Tim Bradley fight, the first Tim Bradley fight, like the Jeff Horn fight, if it's one of those type of decisions, then keep going. Maybe have a rematch, with Keith Thurman, or maybe just fight another name, or do whatever you want to do. You're not going to lose any stock if you have another close decision where the majority of the people, the fans, not just diehard Pacquiao fans, but the majority of fans in boxing feel that you won that fight and should have got the decision. Then you can keep going, keep going. That's if he chooses to. Listen, if he wins or loses, it does nothing to his career. It does nothing. He's already great. It's all about how long is he going to keep going. But if he gets knocked out, like cold, knocked out, then maybe he should reconsider retirement. Now, as far as Keith Thurman, if Keith Thurman is to win this fight, whether it's on points, whether it's by knockout, He is a clearly and convincingly win the fight. I say Keith Thurman right away, off the rip. He's the A side. He is the cash cow. Keith Thurman, if and anybody that dislikes the way he has been and he's carried himself in these interviews in recent years, whatever he chooses to do at welterweight, he immediately becomes the cash cow, the A side. So Spence, Crawford, Porter, whoever it is, whoever he just chooses to fight, he becomes that dude. He's gonna make the call. He's gonna call the shots. Because I feel that as far as his resume, he already has the best resume. Even though he hasn't been active for 2 years, even though he had a close fight with Josecito Lopez, as far as his welterweight resume, as far as a welterweight only, he has the best resume. And if he is to beat Manny Pacquiao, especially if he knocks out Manny Pacquiao or destroys him on points, clearly wins the fight on points, clearly outboxes Manny Pacquiao, he is going to be the A side. He is going to be the cash cow. Everybody's going to be hunting for him. They're hunting for him now, but he already said this is the get back year. He's not going to fight Spence this year, Porter, Dan Garcia. And if he comes back, when he comes back next year, I see him fighting like a Amir Khan or something like that. I don't see him fighting one of those guys. I don't see him fighting one of those guys. I see him fighting like somebody with a name, somebody that people want to see him fight, and that's it. I don't see him fighting one of the top dogs. Errol Spence, the earliest comes late 2020, late 2020. And that's even if Errol Spence gets through Porter and everybody else he's gonna face. All right, so I think immediately he becomes a cash cow, and he's gonna talk like one, and no one's gonna be able to say anything. Now as far as taking a loss, I think if Keith Thurman takes a loss, whether it's by points, whether it's by knockout, especially if it's by knockout, I think Keith Thurman is going to take it hard. Okay, I think he's going to take the loss hard because Keith Thurman is another guy that I feel, and I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion. I feel that I think he lost a little bit of hunger. I think he might lost a little bit of confidence being out for so long, having these injuries, not being able to knock guys out like he used to. So I think he lost a little bit of confidence. Okay. Also, he's been talking retirement. I don't think he's going to be around for a long time. Keith Thurman doesn't seem to be have that hunger. He spoke on it. This is something that he actually said. It's not just my opinion. He's brought up retirement. He's brought up losing a Pacquiao and possibly retirement. All right. I don't think Keith Thurman is really going to be around that much longer. And I think if he is going to take these other fights with a Spence or whoever, it's going to be because there's going to be big money involved. Okay. But if he takes a loss to Manny Pacquiao right now, I think that would be a huge blow to his conscience, and I don't know how he would move forward. I don't know if he would continue moving forward. And then why fight a Spence if you lost to a 40-year-old Pacquiao, stuff like that. If he's doesn't want to fight Crawford and Spence and all of these other guys right now, even the guys that he said that, even the fighters that he's beaten already. If he doesn't want to fight Danny Garcia or Sean Porter, guys that he's already beaten in the ring already, then I'm not really sure how he's going to take a loss to Manny Pacquiao and then wanting to fight those guys after taking a loss. All right, so if he becomes a winner, I think he's down for whatever. He's definitely going to be around, and definitely if we want to see those big fights, he's going to get paid for them. But if he takes a loss, I really don't know what Keith Thurman is going to do. I don't know. I think if he takes a loss to Pacquiao and it's a close decision or it's a competitive fight and it goes to decision, I don't think that's a bad loss. You lose into an all-time great. If you have your first loss and it's to an all-time great, you lost to Manny Pacquiao, man. You beat Sean Porter. You beat Danny Garcia. I mean, you are undefeated welterweight. You have the best resume in the division right now. You shouldn't take a loss like that too hard. But if you lose by knockout, I can see how he can take it hard. I think he should continue fighting, but if he doesn't have the heart to continue, then retire. You made your money, you made your bread, then get out of there. Unless you want to keep going. it's really up to Keith, you know? I can't really get mad at fighters that want to get their bread and leave the sport. This sport is so full of corruption. So I can't get mad. I don't go too hard at Keith. I go hard at him a little bit just because he's not the fighter that I thought he was at one point. But you're allowed to mature. You're allowed to change. You're allowed that. And this is what I was trying to address in the video I did recently, you know? But yeah, man, I mean, this would be a great win for Keith Thurman. It'd be a great win for him. And it opens a lot of doors for him, you know? I think a lot of options, a lot of doors, you know? You never know. You might even get a call from Canelo. You just never know. You beat Manny Pacquiao. You just never know. All right. So that's my thoughts, man. Be on the lookout for more videos. I got a lot of videos to do today, and make sure you subscribe and donate to the channel if you could. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.